fans, welcome back to M237, back with another review. And this afternoon we saw, damn glare, Don't Worry Darling, which I'm sure some people will say, not a horror movie. I guess technically it is a psychological thriller, but it very much evokes the kind of psychological horror films from like the 50s through the 70s. Just from the trailer you can tell it is something like The Stepford Wives or films like sort of noir, thriller, noir, horror, films like that build on paranoia, stuff like that. But this is something that I've wanted to see since the first time I saw the trailer, which I think the last 3 or 4 movies we've gone to go see, there was a trailer for it. It's been in YouTube ads for quite a while. And I've always liked stories like Stepford Wives, where there's just this community where something's off. One person starts to notice it and tries to break the foundation of it, try to escape. Now, I apologize ahead of time if I look and sound not that great. Fall is here, so seasonal allergies have been getting the best of me, so bear with me through this. And right off the bat, it's a movie I'm kind of mixed on. It does have its flaws, definitely, but it is a movie that, when the acting is good, it's very good. Other times, it's serviceable at best, but it's a movie that is very well directed, looks great, it's a beautiful looking movie. It does get a bit art housey. There are some hallucinations and stuff like that, so the filmmaker gets to do some very crazy black and white, very trippy visuals. So it does kind of get into some art house territory. Aside from just saying it's another kind of Stepford Wives type film, what it felt like the most to me, I can't say what my girlfriend said yet because that would be a dead giveaway, but to me, it felt like a Shyamalan film done by way of A24, like maybe a lesser A24 film, which is both it's both a compliment and maybe not. It feels like a better Shyamalan film, but a lesser A24 film. But it looks and sounds great. The score was one of the best parts as well, and I love this kind of setting. I can't remember who the filmmaker was. I think it was Frank Oz, who did, I believe he did the Stepford Wives remake. He said something about you could take Stepford Wives out of the 70s, but can't take the 70s out of Stepford Wives. Because this movie is very rooted in sort of 50s, early 60s, perfect Americana, kind of. And, anyway. So the technical aspects are very, very good. The script and the way it's executed might not be the best, and it is flawed. But, so this was directed by Olivia Wilde, who's been in a bunch of movies. I thought this was her directorial debut, but she has done a film prior. Written by Katie Silberman. And right from the trailer, I could tell, okay, this has something to say about modern-day patriarchy, modern-day feminism, or something along those lines. But I didn't quite get Black Christmas 2019 vibes from it. And I've said this before, more modern movies that kind of take that route. If they're directed and written by a woman, it feels less pandering in that the metaphor and themes are executed more naturally and deeper and more provocatively. So that was one reason another reason why I wanted to check this out. The story, based on a story by Carrie and Shane Van Dyke and Katie Silberman, stars Florence Pugh from Midsommar. And I'll say right off the bat, I was not a fan of Midsommar. I got eaten alive in my review for that. The only thing I liked was the cinematography. One of my biggest problems with the film was Florence Pugh, but she redeems herself in this. She is a very capable lead actress in this. Much better than in Midsommar. Also Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan, Kiki Lane, Nick Kroll for some reason, and Chris Pine. And okay, Harry Styles, he's there. Chris Pine, they do make a very charismatic uh, uh, antagonist or villain in a way that you know he's toxic, you know he's bad, but there's just something about him that you can't help but see why people would be pulled into his world or find him inspiring in some dark way. Like, he has a lot of charisma, but that's basically all he is. They don't really give him much more of anything than that. Matthew Libatique did the cinematography, and John Powell did the score. And the score, as I said, is one of the most best parts of this film. I mean, there are parts where it's just like breaths, like that's just the score. It plays off it like music, but other times, like especially during the climax, great pieces of music that really work. It's not doing very well. $35 million budget, only made 30 million so far. That's embarrassing. I apologize. And yes, there was a lot of drama behind the scenes. Like, it was supposed to have Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf happened, issues with him. Pugh and Wilde had opposite roles, but then Wilde switched the roles. There was a lot of stuff going on. And yeah, I guess Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine at the premiere. This is just about the movie. I don't really care about the drama. Now, however, I do agree or disagree with the Rotten Tomatoes score. This is not a 39%. It does deserve much better than that. I do agree with the praises. You know, it looks great. Cinematography is great. Score is great. Pugh is great. Wilde does well. But yeah, the script, there's a lot of conveniences. There are a lot of themes that aren't really explored that well. There are things that just end. Like, it looks like it's leading towards something and it goes nowhere. It is very predictable. While the final reveal isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, uh, it was still something along the lines of what I was thinking. Not exactly. And also, it's stuff we've seen before. I can't really say till I get to spoilers, but the overall story is there's this desert town where it doesn't say when it is, like if this is sort of like a dystopian near future or if it really is in the 50s or 60s. But, you know, it has that really sort of idealistic, conservative Americana lifestyle. Men get up every morning, they go to work, they all work at the same job, which is this corporation called the Victory Project, run by Chris Pine. And the women stay behind, cook, clean, take care of the men, take care of the house. And everything seems fine. But then Pugh starts to get a little paranoid that things aren't really going that well, or some things seem off, some things don't seem real. You know, there's the scene in the trailer where she has the eggs and they break, and they're fake. And then it kind of becomes almost like the Truman Show, where she's trying to, you know, anytime it seems like someone's about to figure something out, these guys in red come out, take them away, cover up what's going on, really trying to just keep the even keel of what's going on. The way Chris Pine talks is like these inspiring to the men speeches, like, whose world is it? Ours. Who do we do it for? Us. What do we do it for? Control. Or whatever. And the men sort of look up to him like a god. And yeah, there are some twists, and of course she figures out not everything is perfect, and she tries to get out. That's as much as I can give away without getting into spoilers. So before I get into that, it's a movie that if you really want to see it, the theaters will benefit with like the way it looks and sounds and everything, but you're probably not going to be super bedazzled by. It's not like an A24 film where you're going to be blown away by how it uses its themes and its messages, or a very original take on something. I really only said it feels like a better Shyamalan film, lesser A24, because of the twist and how well it technically is made. Other than that, I definitely check it out when it becomes a rental. But I did like it, but kind of in the middle. I mean, I would give this probably a higher, probably like a B rating if I had to give ratings. I definitely enjoyed myself, and I continually wanted to see what was going to happen. Uh, Even though the twist was something we've seen before, I still liked how they handled it. So it was a movie that I enjoyed. Is it a contender for best of the year? Certainly not. But so now I'm going to get into spoilers. So I think the first scene where Pugh well, one, they do a good job at just showing how uniform this area is, because it's a cul-de-sac, and in the morning, like, all the men get in their car at the same time, back out at the same time, drive away in like a single file. All the wives come out, wave to them, go inside at the same time. It's a very, uniform, tight knit community. And yeah, there's the scene with the eggs. There's the other scene in the trailer where she's doing the windows and the wall closes in on her, which I think is just supposed to be like a visual representation on her claustrophobia, being stuck in this area. But one day she's riding the trolley from the store to home. She sees a plane crash into the hills. And this is when the convenience kind of starts to come in, because she sees the plane smoking overhead, and there was kind of a glitch. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they're under a dome or something, like a dome that has like a sort of a TV screen ceiling or something. So she decides to go on foot because the driver won't take her out into the hills. That's when she comes across this sort of fancy building, which she finds out is like the headquarters for the Victory Project. And the plane is never brought up again. If she brings it up, people talk to her like she's crazy. Because I think it plays out like there was some sort of fallout, and they're just this, like, there's nothing outside of this community. They always say, stay here where it's safe. So, like, when she says she saw a plane, everyone says that's impossible. But it's very vague and cryptic on what they think is outside, which I was okay with. I don't think everything needs to be explained. I'm sure some people, I know some people do. That's why we get prequels and sequels that we don't need. So, yeah, she plays the headquarters because she needs to know where it is for later. And of course, Chris Pine, he's really just the kind of guy to give sinister looks and look conniving and give these sort of toxic masculinity speeches. But he is very charismatic when he does it. He is very captivating when he does that. Also, there's this one couple who the wife suspects something's wrong. She gets taken away. When she's brought back, everyone's like, oh, she's off. She's not doing okay. Pugh sees her slit her throat on her roof. And then when she gets taken away again, everyone tells her that she slipped or slightly, like, nicked herself. Not that she's dead and committed suicide. And I don't know if this was just something they missed, or if this was a direct hint that no, the greater twist is modern day. Because you have, it's mostly a white community, and that couple is of African American. But it's treated like a desegregated town. And if this is supposed to be like the 50s or 60s, it wouldn't be that way. So I don't know if that's just a detail they missed or if that was like a deliberate hint that no, these are modern people in this strange uh, or simulated setting. So she convinces Harry Styles that they have to leave, but of course he turns her in. We see that, you know, she's kind of being treated like a mental patient, shock therapy, and then she's brought back home with no memory, seems fine. But in that time, we see that, oh, she was a doctor, working long shifts. Harry Styles was kind of a stay-at-home bum with long hair and a beard. She seemed tired all the time, too tired to have sex or intimacy, just wanted to sleep when she was home. And that's when we find out that this Victory Project was a job that I guess Harry Styles applied for. And it's this virtual reality world where everything is perfect. Women don't have to do anything. The men can just go work. And the women don't realize that there's something outside of this VR. And even the VR is done kind of Clockwork Orangey, which is kind of cool and creepy. There's these clamps that hold the eyes open with these red lasers that I guess project the simulation, but I guess also keep the eyes moist. And it's so we see that happen, but even then it doesn't reveal the VR visually. But we see that there was a life in the present that they shared, and that it wasn't that good. So she's brought back, no memory, but then she kind of starts to realize again that something's wrong. There's also this running theme where there's these tremors where everyone has to like grab stuff and hold it. It's never explained what that is. I guess we're supposed to believe that because like these guys, they all drive into this tunnel in a hill, and they kind of make it sound like they're mining. So I guess everyone just buys it's part of their work that these tremors cause. But Pugh is brought back, and then it comes back to her. She calls Harry Styles out. And Harry Styles, he's there, acting-wise. I mean, I guess when he gets a little bit more intense, he's serviceable. I was starting to think that his accent was coming through, but they do make it a point to say that he is English, so they work that in there. And, he tries to say, you were miserable. You were always too tired. You were never happy. You hated your job. And she says, I loved my job. I loved working. Like, you didn't work. I was happy with my life. I was unhappy with my life with you. Like, this isn't what I want. And so then, he tries to hold her down. She kills him. And then that's when Olivia Wilde comes in. And really, I think her character is to just serve the exposition at the end. Like, why her character is this way. Because she's the only woman in this town that knows what's going on. Like, she's there voluntarily. Because she said, she comes up and she's like, if he dies in the real world, if he dies in here, he dies in the real world. And the heads are going to come after you in the real world. And she knows all this because she's there voluntarily, because in the real world she lost her kids somehow. Here she has them back, so she chooses this life. And that's one thing about this movie, is that it really does make this movie really make this life look awesome. Like, everyone has a really nice house, nice clothes, nice lifestyle. It makes that kind of life look very appealing. Like, the only horror aspect is that you can never leave, or you can't ask questions, I guess. And so there's the big chase through the desert. And they do hint to it earlier on that she can't drive that well. Well, actually, before that, she goes outside, blood's all over her dress, And that's when all the men try to, like, stop her from getting in her car. And all the women start to look at her like, wait a minute. Something's weird. It would have been better if all the women start to revolt. And, like, if they all kind of came to the realization that this isn't real, something else is going on, and they all turned on their husbands. But that was one of those aspects where it hints towards something, but then it just stops. Chased through the desert, she does make it to the headquarters, and then we kind of get what happens when you go in and out of the VR simulation, which is, you see it in the trailer, like the black and white dancers, black and white, they do like leg kick, overhead dances, and irises getting dilated, and like a blood drop on white. So it does get kind of artsy. We see all that, and then we cut to black, and we just hear her waking up. And all that artsy stuff, the black and white, the iris and everything, I thought that looked very cool. It was very well shot. There are some kind of cringy moments, like there is a tap dance off with Harry Styles. Like, my girlfriend said it reminded her of The Village, which I can see. It very much is like The Village. That's one reason why I said Shyamalan. To me, other than Stepford Wives, it reminded me of two films I saw recently, which was the IFC film Held, and the whole idea about sort of, also just because of the nostalgic look of it, but sort of keeping women in their place and gaining control of your relationship again. That one was a bit more mean-spirited, whereas this one is kind of, I guess, sort of like the toxic masculine way to give your wife a great life while still remaining like masculine in a toxic way. But it also plays on the paranoia very well, that she feels like maybe she is just crazy, everyone looking at her like she's crazy. It did do that very well. But Held mixed with the Hulu Into the Dark film Culture Shock, because that dealt with that kind of community where if people start to figure something out, they're dealt with. It is virtual reality. So it's like Held meets Culture Shock with the overall aesthetic of Stepford Wives. And yeah, like I said, there are some conveniences. The script and dialogue isn't always the best, but most of the performances, especially Pugh and Wilde, definitely help it. But the direction and the cinematography and the score definitely make this movie well worth it. And I also liked the more trippy, artsy stuff as well. And yeah, I didn't expect VR to be the twist. Like I said, I thought it was going to be either they're way out of the way, where no one knows where they are, or it's like a dome. There's some sort of dome with like a projection. But the VR worked for me just fine. But yeah, I like this film. It's not the best or one of the best I've seen this year, but it's far from the worst. And it is one that I enjoyed. I do enjoy these kinds of films, these kinds of stories. So yeah, that's 2022's Don't Worry, Darling. And there's going to be quite a few that I'm going to be seeing coming up. Like, I plan on seeing The Menu. I will be going to see Halloween Ends, so I'll be reviewing Halloween Kills as well. Hopefully, Darren Aronofsky's The Whale will be coming to where I am. And I will be seeing Smile, even though I think that looks like a Blumhouse Truth or Dare shit film. But yeah, I did enjoy Don't Worry, Darling, even for all its flaws. It's a great looking, great sounding film. But anyway, thank you for watching.